out. So I recorded. Oh, we're recording. There you go.
Oh, there you go. All right. I see
I'm
it.
about to explain to you why I'm afraid to record to the cloud, and it doesn't matter because we're recording to my computer. It says recording on your screen or mine. Howdy.
Howdy.
So, Marty, I met you last Saturday at a jam session, and it was so much fun. I mean this. This is not false humility. I felt like I was in Wayne's World, like we're not worthy kind of thing. But I got there, and I was the last one there. It was a socially distanced outdoor jam. It was about 135 degrees outside.
Yeah, we were definitely distanced.
Very distant. And I pull up, and I think, oh, I guess they're just playing some music, piping some music through a PA system. You know, like it sounded just like, you know, like an album or the radio, not radio anymore. And then as I get out of my car, I'm like, fuck, I'm not worthy. Because you guys, I don't remember what you guys were playing, but it sounded really good. You had that young guy on guitar, he was like 25, and that kid on keyboard.
That's right. Yeah, those kids were good.
They were really good. And we had, I think, in total 5 guitar players eventually once I started trying.
At any point in time, we have 5 guitar players at once, which is really hard to do.
Yeah, and you were doing percussion in the beginning, like non-drum set percussion. I mean, a mini kind of set.
Yes.
And what I thought, there were a couple of things that I thought were cool, and I'm like, I can't wait to learn a little more about you and your professional history. So I'm a non-professional musician. I'm just like a garage band, college hacker kind of guy, and I love it. So I'm watching you doing this thing with some percussive whatever, and there was some, what was that thing?
Oh, the shaker?
Okay, the shaker. Shaking the shaker. And you looked professional the way you were doing it. I thought this guy's probably like, seriously, it sounded good. But here's the moment that got me. So everyone starts playing Bad by U2, which is my favorite song in the world. Oh yeah, it's a great song. There's two basic chords you play around in it. I remembered one of the two. So I just sort of put my volume low and I'm kind of playing around and just sort of playing it, but not well. And with 4 other guitar players, it was easy enough to not screw up the song. But what I thought was really, really cool, and I mean this with all sincerity, I remember you switched over from your little percussion station, because at that point, there were 2 drum kits and no one was playing drums yet. You moved over onto the drums, and the way you filled the sound space was really special. I mean, it was really special.
Thanks.
And I thought this guy is special on the drums. For me, because I was just sort of very quietly doing I thought I had the chords right. I was mixed so low that I could barely hear myself. So instead, I allowed myself to just get enveloped by the music. I mean, you've got all those guitar players, and the kid had the perfect echo. He was doing a nice version of Edge. And your drums, whatever you did, it was so musical. You weren't just keeping a regular beat, but you were, I think, very focused on the tonality of the kit you were on. Am I right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was actually inspired by his guitar part because
really,
it was so mystifying.
Yeah, he really pulled it off.
He did. It was really good. I just went with him. Basically.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Oh, it was, yeah.
Because you were, I mean, I could sort of hear it in my head, but you were working all the drums, and I could tell that you were so much more than keeping the beat, or even, dare I say, like advancing the rhythm. It was much more 3-dimensional than that, and I took note of it.
Oh, thanks. Cool. That's very observant of you. That makes you the better musician, also, David.
I really enjoyed it. And I remember I didn't have a guitar strap with me, so I'm just sitting on my amp, and so it really allowed me to sort of be, even though I was participating in the song, I was really a fly on the wall, and I enjoyed it almost as much as a spectator, as a participant for that song. It was very cool.
That moment was definitely a highlight for me.
Yeah, wasn't it?
It was. It was just something that was a spur of the moment, and sometimes those are the moments that are most worthwhile.
Yeah, and the other one we did that was fun. Because I play so few things, I was just doing some kind of progression in ninths. We did the kind of a funky thing, There were a few times the groove kind of got, I thought nice, and I was leaning on the better guitar players to do their part, but it was really good.
Yeah. There's some magical moments, and then the alcohol sometimes kicks in, and either it gets better or it doesn't.
Right, that's right.
You think you sound better, but you don't.
Mm-hmm. It's like the great idea that you write down and you wake up the next morning like, that wasn't very good.
That's right. Yeah. Paul Simon had always do rehearsals, and he would break down a song,
right,
piece by piece, and we would work on that one song, just for that one day, and it'd be like that'd be the rehearsal, and then we'd come in the next day, and he'd do something totally different.
Wait. So now that is an amazing segue. What's so cool about this interview, and one of the reasons why I was looking forward to it so much, I don't know shit about you. Like, I don't know anything. So now you just referenced Paul Simon. So that could be you were in a cover band learning a Paul Simon song, or it could mean that you were with Paul Simon learning a Paul Simon song. Either one is interesting to me.
Actually, I've never played with Paul Simon, but I've been on in and out of his crew for like over 20 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So now,
I've done every position, including taking care of Paul for a second.
So, oh, really? So here's what. So this is a great segue, because I have a little cut and paste of your resume as you would find it either on Facebook and a little bit on LinkedIn and things like that. And I know that you are a musician. I know that firsthand, and just from looking at you on your page, that is. But I also know you're a tech. And I said to you before we started today, I don't want to learn exactly what that is yet, because I'd rather learn it on our show. So let's use the Paul Simon situation as an example. So for 20 years, what have you done with Paul? What does it mean?
Well, technicians, or some guys like to call it consultants.
Okay. Right.
What the common phrase is pretty much a roadie.
Okay.
So you either take care of guitars, pianos, keyboards, whatever you're assigned to, or whatever your specialty is, whatever your skill set is, you handle. So I've been pretty versed in a lot of different departments. So I gives me a chance to work a lot. And in Paul's camp, it intermingles with all the different departments. So for example, when I first started on Paul, I was the percussion tech.
Okay.
I would take care of. I had 3 stations I had to take care of, set up 3 percussion setups, and that was it.
So would you have to tune the kits and everything, or would the drummers themselves want to do that?
It varied. Some guys would let me do it. Some guys wouldn't.
Okay.
Back in early stages, I wasn't that well versed in percussion world, so
right.
I did that much tuning to do. Usually tuning congas and bongos or timbales, but you're not tuning any shakers or anything like that. It's mostly just placement and making sure everything works.
And would you mic them, or is that somebody else?
That's somebody else.
Okay.
But I've grown into that position also.
Okay.
Sometimes you need to help out.
Right.
I remember Eddie Testa said it's about being able to work with other people. And
right.
I live for that.
Yeah. Isn't it true?
It is. It's sometimes not the best players that make it in, but it's the guys right. that you want to hang out with.
It's true, and we talked about it on that show, that it translates into everything in life.
It does.
The people who emote positivity are the people we all gravitate toward. We don't gravitate toward toxic people, even if they're talented.
Right. For example, a prime example is, I know, and I can't mention any names, but an artist did auditions for drummers.
Okay.
And it came down to it. One guy who was a top-ranked session player nailed it, completely nailed it, and was perfect for the gig. the artist opted out for someone else of a little bit lower caliber, but still just as good, because you realize that you'd rather spend time with that person on the bus.
Well, it's funny. I always like to draw parallels with my legal career, which is what I do in the day. And there are some lawyers who get a lot done by being, and a lot accomplished for their clients by being nice and affable and friendly. And I think, all right, that's a life you build for yourself, where you wake up in the morning, you look forward to your day, you have a really good day, you make the people around you happy, you make yourself happy, and there's all this good stuff. And then I know a lot of lawyers whose entire career is built upon being a raging asshole. And I'm not kidding. And they're good. They accomplish a lot. I don't think they accomplish anything more than the non-assholes, right? But one could build a career based on being an asshole. But then you think about it, then you look back on the last decade of your life. You think, what did I do it for?
Right.
If I do this all day long and I'm just spewing toxicity and then I'm spreading it like a cancer, yes, I put a few bucks in my pocket. I might have some technical accomplishments, but what have I really accomplished?
Right. Right. Well, that's so true. And one particular woman that I worked for, I've worked for over, I would have to say 30 years.
Wow.
I can't say her name, obviously.
Ruth Buzzy?
Huh?
Is it Ruth Buzzy? Sorry. It's my favorite non sequitur.
That's hilarious. I didn't think she had that type of reputation.
She does. It's horrible.
Oh my God. Well,
I'm kidding, Ruth.
No. It's okay. She's dead, right?
I don't know.
Oh,
let's see over under. Sorry. The woman for 30 years.
Well, over 30 years, and we get along. For the first couple of years, I would get fired every year.
Oh, really?
Rehired. I've literally been hired and rehired, fired and rehired 9 times from this artist.
Wow.
And I'm still working for her, but because she's nuts.
Right.
Off the stage, we have like incredible conversations. It's great. We're nice to each other, but like when she's on the stage, the bitch switch is on and just stays on. We pull out the toggle switch, and I keep going back because she's an amazing artist.
Right.
She gives it 110%, and the audience loves her. And it's an amazing show when she's on.
You think it's that she's nervous that if she doesn't deliver a product that good, that she'll somehow lose her station and then she takes it out on all the people around her? Is it something like that?
It's somewhat like that, and kind of like an insecurity,
Right.
And I don't even think sometimes it's like how Eddie Testis referenced that, like, you need to check your ego at the door.
Yeah.
She kind of like hides it in her pocket bag and pulls it out whenever she needs to.
Right.
And it's not even a thing whereas it's about ego. It's for her, it's about like being heard and making sure that she's getting her point across because she's so insecure.
Right.
There's a lot of insecurities about herself. She'll dress up like sporadically, and sometimes you see her come out and be like, what were you thinking of? Like,
right.
Really? So, it's kind of like that.
So she's looking not just for the sort of the musical success, but she wants to look a certain way. And then sometimes she goes out on a limb and there's an epic fail. And then that feeds her insecurity.
Right. That feeds her insecurity. But, her voice is so powerful and so, she doesn't look at the response of her performance. She looks at, oh my God, what did I do wrong?
Oh, that's a shame.
It is, because she's truly an amazing artist.
And then that's the sad thing, is that the people who watch her are probably getting more enjoyment out of her than she is.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And she treats the people around her like crap, and it's just, it's right. You want to say it's karma, but she's had like over 40 years of a career. You know, so
Wow.
say, you just never know.
But and then the sad thing is, like it's like what I just said. So she could look back on the last 40 years. Has she had joy
Right.
from her career? She
Right.
might have given out, not to the people in her orbit. She might not have given joy. Her audience gets the joy,
Right.
but she's not even getting it herself. That's a
Right.
shame.
Yeah, it is. She's not. She's always looking forward to moving forward and doing work and stuff like that. And she has a son that
Okay.
she's barely raised, and she loves. You can tell she loves because she talks about him all the time. But that she doesn't spend any time with him.
Well, that's a real shame.
And
On so many levels.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And it's a thing. Whereas like other artists that I've worked for, we've talked about past experiences and past tours, and with her, we're either talking about family or we're talking about upcoming shows.
Okay.
There's no real like conversation about like remember that time in Moscow where we played in front of that audience and it rained down or any of that. There's no reference to that.
So when she looks back on her life, she doesn't have fond memories for her entire career. Like in other words, the centerpiece of what she does has not filled her life with positive memories, I guess, or at least not that she wants to chat about.
Right, exactly, and that's what I think too. And I think her focus is so much in the future that she can't. She's had a Broadway show. She's working on another Broadway show, so it's a big thing for her.
Dude, it's clear to me we're talking about Ruth Buzzy right now. I mean, she's been on Broadway. She sings. Sorry if I hurt you with that. Now that she's.
Oh, no, it's all good. No good. Yeah. No. The mere fact that I understand who Ruth Buzzy is, it's great.
Yeah. So in your career doing this, have you traveled the world?
Oh yeah, I would have to say. I'd say the only place I haven't gone to, and I had, it's a little ironic that I've never been to China.
Oh really?
The only country I haven't been, because there's not much tours going through China.
Right.
It's like Japan, all over the East Asia and all that, India, all over the world. I've been very, very lucky.
That's really cool. And then, so I would think what you're talking about in terms of your relationship with the artists is that there's probably, they're on for a couple hours, maybe 3, but probably more like 2. And then there's a ton of downtime, right? Whether you're on a tour bus, an airplane, in a hotel lobby having drinks. Is that where you develop your relationships with them?
It depends. There's a lot less downtime than you think. It depends on the tour. It depends on the tour. There's some tours where you can have like a couple of days off, or you can have in a row, or you can have like every other day off. Back in the day, I remember doing a tour with Megadeth, and we did 27 days straight.
Wow!
And then out of the 7-day work week, 3 of those days were doubles. Radio show in the morning and a regular rock show at night.
Oh, so in other words, they're promoting in the morning on the radio, and then they're doing the show at night.
Or like a radio festival.
Okay.
So like that. It could be any of that. It could be any combination of that. So
throw out some names at us. Let's hear some of the names of some of the more well-known acts you've toured with.
Wow. Okay. Rush.
Oh, really? Wait! I didn't hear the second one.
Pink Floyd.
Wow.
Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Tim and Faith, Sting, Seal, Steely Dan. Oh my God, it's all drawing a blank now. Sean Colvin, Mary Chapin Carpenter, J Lo, Public Enemy.
And you mentioned Paul Simon.
Oh, Paul Simon, definitely. It's one of the earlier tours. Squeeze.
By the way, Could they possibly have a? I love Squeeze. Could they be potentially more boring in concert?
Oh no, it's a great Squeeze.
Is it really? I saw them in the '80s, and they were amazing, but they didn't do anything. Are they different now?
No, Squeeze is a musician's rock band.
Okay, all right. Kind of like Steely Dan, because I've seen them.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
They
That's
don't
right.
do anything. They just play amazingly, but
Yep,
that's it.
that's it. Oh yeah, yeah, that is actually, and that was one of the tours that got canceled this year for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right. Your life is so different now. So
Oh
you've
yeah.
got, and we probably, so that's probably about 8 or 9 bands you mentioned just off the top of your head, and that's probably a partial list, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm the king of subs.
Now, what does that mean?
I go in when guys want to take a break. Sometimes
Okay.
it's a long tour, and I go in and fill in.
Okay.
I have to say, like, very few, like on Pink Floyd, I was a sub. On Rush, I was a sub. Um, Pantera, Tool, um,
Who? Jewel or Tool?
Tool,
I don't know that.
and Jewel,
Oh,
also. Um, a lot of different acts. Suzanne Vega,
wow.
uh, a lot of different
So
bands.
are most techs like you musicians?
Uh, there are and there aren't.
Okay.
And some jobs require that you play. Like I know on Van Halen, the drum tech is is supposed to play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because sometimes Alex wants to warm up, he gets there late, and he has to. So somebody else has to do the sound check.
Oh, that's interesting. Right. Have you ever done that?
No, oh, sound check? Yes, I have.
Like sound check where you're behind a drum. Well, so what do you play? You play drums, we know that. What else do you play?
I play percussion, drums, bass, a little bit of keys, a little bit of guitar, just enough to get through sound check.
Okay, so there will be times when you'll get behind a drum kit or guitar or bass keyboard and hammer out some music or notes or beats or what have you to make sure it's.
Yeah, I just asked what chords we're playing and just strum along. There's nothing, just to get a sound. That's
Right,
it,
right.
you know.
Now, is that nerve-wracking at all?
At first it was.
'Cause I know for me, like I've heard comedians do routines on this. Like going into Sam Ash and you want to test the guitar and all these really good musicians are looking at you. Like I would never, they were like, you want to plug it into an amp? And I'd say, no, but sir, you want to buy an amp. But I don't want to play through an amp in front of all the people in this store.
I understand that. And, when I first started, I would have never thought of that, trying to do that. But when you're young and you start off in the industry as a musician, you want to like progress. And then sometimes there is a problem with guys who wanted to be musicians more than they wanted to be techs.
All right, so then they're trying to showboat a little.
Trying to showboat a little bit, yeah. I mean, there's a time and place for everything.
I would think that probably goes across really transparent and badly.
Oh yeah, some guys, it depends. Certain artists are like, you know what, I don't want to see that guy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in that role, I'd say that's not what you're doing. That's not what you're here for.
Right.
It's very self-indulgent. If I've gotten nothing else from the 20 or so shows we've done so far, and I think Guitar Tells has done about 20 so far, is that if it's about you, you will not succeed.
Right.
If it's about making the audience happy, you will. The audience and the people around you happy.
Right. Right.
So I would imagine if you've got a tech who's trying to show much better musicians that he or she is pretty damn good, it's not going to be received very well.
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I feel like sometimes I'm a little hard on those guys, but I feel like it has to be a give and take thing, and it's a working environment. It needs to be almost like a family.
Right.
I treat it like the Marines. It's about the guy standing next to you.
Right.
Because when you're out there, it's not even about the country at that point. It's about the guy standing next to you.
Right. Right.
So I mean, I think that's carried me throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, we had Mike McGagey on recently, and he was saying his job is to make the people around him look good.
Oh yeah,
Like that's his job.
yeah. That even applies even more to me.
Right. Where you're not playing with the band, but at the same time, that's exclusively your job. But even for the musicians vis-a-vis each other, and you are a musician, but the performing musicians, the best of the best are saying, "I'm here to support the people I'm playing with."
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah. So let's go back in time a little bit. So, were you a musician before you became a tech?
Oh yeah.
So that was your main gig. So let's start in high school. Or when did you start drums? Let me ask it that way.
Actually, when I was 10.
Really?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, if you can, put humility aside for a second. I got the sense from our little jam session that you're a very good drummer. Are you like a studio musician level of drummer? Do you think, if you were to put humility aside?
I would have to say I'm close, but I'm not there
Okay.
at this point in the game. At one point, I have to say in the 90s, there was
Okay.
so much work around that we were there's guys that weren't even like studio musicians that were playing in studios and stuff like that.
So have you done that?
Oh yeah, back in the 90s, it was fruitful. Commercials, uh, studio album recordings. Occasionally, there's some studios in Pennsylvania now that I was doing some recordings in, and I'd occasionally get once in a blue moon called to do recordings. And I've set up my studio now so I can do tracks from home and people can
Right.
track, like do that. I haven't gone up to that point yet, but I'm working at it.
So, what have you been on albums most people might have heard of?
Oh no, probably not.
Okay.
Probably
Right.
not. It's just like a lot of local artists that are like sing and play guitar and play keyboards and stuff like that.
But that's great. The fact that so in the '90s you're getting called in if you get like a fresh band, or let's say like a songwriter who needs a drummer for their session band, something like that. You get called in, and you would get commercial work on commercials, right?
Yeah.
Because people forget. I mean, everything we get on social media has music.
Right.
Whether it's the old days where it was television or movies to now just, YouTube or what have you.
Right.
There's always some kind of music playing around.
Oh yeah.
Background.
Oh yeah. People forget that like it's all around you.
Yeah.
Even when people are watching movies, I remember watching some of the movies that I've played on, and I'm just like, wow. I'm just like, I remember that session.
Wait, what movies have you played on?
There was oh my God, there was one Robert De Niro film, Ed Norton. I
know that movie. I think. Wait.
The Score.
Yeah.
The Score. There's literally 8 percussionists on that session, and it was a magical moment. It was like a week and a half of recording, a lot of tracks. It was in a big like theater, like in Manhattan, that all of us, and all I was doing is playing these frames.
What is by a frame? What do you mean?
Like literally like
a triangle?
No, like these shelving units.
Okay.
Like, you would nail into the wall.
Right.
Actually playing these rails.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just playing like a triplet feel on those. While it was nuts.
That's pretty cool. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, it really opened my mind to like how percussion can be.
It could be on anything, right?
Anything. It could be just
so there I went to a school in Washington, and we talked on our second to last show about Washington go-go music. Are you familiar with it?
Oh yeah, the go-go beats. Oh yeah, infamous.
Right. So do you remember the Junkyard Band? Did you ever see that?
Oh yeah.
So I've seen them live on street corners. Like I saw them on street corners before they were famous, and they would play like garbage pails and paint cans and things like that.
That's right.
They were. So you're this is our
Musical.
yeah. So this is our second time talking about go-go music. It sort of came parallel to hip hop, and then hip hop
Oh,
really
absolutely.
took off,
Yes.
and then go-go didn't. Big Old Butt is sort of a go-go-ish song, but not really,
Oh,
right?
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, you can totally see it. You can
Right,
totally see
right.
the reference to that.
But we talked Chuck Brown.
Chuck Brown. That's
He
right.
was huge, and my favorite, Let's Get Small. Who did Let's Get Small?
Um, I can't remember. I have
No,
to
I
Google
can't
that.
either. But what I loved, and this is so great for not just a drummer but a percussionist like you, we would be at some outdoor event, and when they start playing, I don't dance, nor can I, and it's a bad thing to see if I try. But when they start playing, when go-go kicks in, you can't help it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, unlike any music I'm familiar with, at least for me, when all those percussion instruments kick in, there is something about that beat in go-go music.
Oh, it's the upbeat on the second kick drum that just kicks it over.
They all start the same like, and then boom. I can't do it, but yeah,
It's so moving. It just
yeah,
pushes you forward, and it just makes the music just makes you jump. You
right.
know, done right. It's a great
And I guess the reason why it didn't stay any longer is that it then becomes repetitive, and I guess it doesn't go maybe as far as people want it to. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not expressing it well, but it's one thing. And
right.
maybe that's why it didn't fully take off. I don't think it was able to get like three dimensionality about it.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
these days it's about EDM music and all that kind of stuff anyway, which is pretty mindless and it's just
Yeah.
repetitive. The whole thing. You could say the same thing about that, but it was just the backing of it. Go-go music was such a I hate to use the word for lack of a word, but it was so ghetto that
Yeah.
didn't have that, and uh,
It was very real. I mean, like I
it
saw
was
it firsthand.
it was so raw.
Yes.
And that's what the best part of that was. It was so natural and lively that I think it took too much for people to think about.
Yeah, maybe that's it. We'd be drunk 2 a.m. walking around, and you suddenly around the corner, you'd see a bunch of kids, young adults, and old adults, maybe 10, 15 people just banging on whatever they had in front of them with rhythms that were beyond outstanding.
Right. In that sense, it's really about the music. It's kind of like all the guys down in New Orleans
Right.
who play, that New Orleans street beats
Oh my God.
it's exactly like that because
I will be there in 17 days.
oh nice,
Yeah,
it's magical.
it
Musically, it's
is.
a magical place. You
Yeah,
can't.
I saw at Tipitina's, I saw Aaron Neville.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I was, again, there was a little bit of alcohol in me, and I literally just had tears coming out of my eyes when he hits those notes in New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
It's the authenticity and the realness, and then hearing that music where it belongs. It's like seeing Bruce in New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
absolutely. I have to say, like, I did a short run with the meters, and
Okay,
that was some of the most magical moments. The
I
music for
bet.
that was, I mean, it's original meters, with George Porter, um, Zigaboo, and Aaron, Art, all those guys. It was such a you realize the history behind that all that music
Yes.
comes from, and where all these guys are trying to cop all those licks and everything. You see it.
Yeah.
You just feel kind of fortunate about it. To
No,
me, I feel blessed.
it's funny. Yeah, and it's funny. I'll throw you a little compliment. When we were doing bad, and I'm just sitting on my amp, and again, I'm being almost more of an observer than a participant. I was thinking, I'm feeling very blessed right now that I'm getting enveloped by this wall of music that I have a little bit of involvement in, because that moment was really, there's a tape of it somewhere. I think someone was recording. But it was, I'm appreciative of the fact that you felt what I felt in that. Because, and that's the beauty of music, is sometimes you can feel this sort of wall of something envelop you, and
Right.
it takes you to a different place.
Yeah, yeah. And it's almost like the drums are playing me. I don't necessarily have to play the drums. It just
Right.
flows correctly. If it flows great, that's your moment.
And that's interesting. What I did not at all perceive is that, but it makes sense now. You're sitting there doing your regular percussion that you've been doing the last 30, 40 minutes that we've been playing. And then you heard something from that guitar player. And then you just shuffled on over 10 feet or whatever it was to the drum kit. And I guess that is, you got inspired by hearing what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
And it informed what you did. But it came out really nice.
No, yeah, it did. I have to say that was the best moment of that jam.
Yeah, I felt the same way. So from a musical point of view, so what do you do to occupy your time these days in the middle of COVID? I know you guys jam every week, right? You guys go to we're at a farm, right? Are you part of that weekly jam?
I can be. Unfortunately, I've after COVID and stuff like that, I've been less busy with work, but catching up on a lot of housework. And actually, I've taken this time to kind of like reanalyze my playing and go back to like sourcing myself and finding the organic part of myself to play, and make sure that I still have those chops, I still have the feel, I still have ideas that I can lay down. So I go to GarageBand, I lay down some tracks, and I just go over it with some bass lines. So I try and reinvent myself, and I try and get a feeling again of it. So I don't lose that aspect of it, because it's part of what I do.
So that's really cool. So we had Alex Scooby on our show, one of our earliest Zoom shows. So when COVID first hit, he's an actor, but we sort of the technical link is he was in a guitar band in New Jersey before he became a very successful actor on CSI and things like that, like really successful. But he said the same exact thing about acting that you just said about musicianship on our show, which is that COVID sucks, COVID is horrible, and most horrifically people are dying. So so we all have different experiences with regard to it, and people are socially struggling. But a lot of people in the midst of just something that's historically unprecedented, at least in our lives, and maybe ever, not ever, because it's happened before, but in our lives, is that they're trying to use this as an opportunity to find meaning, and trying to use this as an opportunity to artistically grow. And you sounded just like Alex. That he's using this, and they're doing a lot of creative acting things and just writing and things like that. But when people are stuck in their homes, I mean, I barely exit my home. Literally, like I saw you guys. I barely know how to wear a mask because I'm almost never out of my house.
Right on.
And I get my groceries in my trunk and things like that. I very rarely leave. But in any event, so people are using this artistically as an opportunity to emerge from this better. I think is really cool. So I'm thrilled you're doing it. I'm not thrilled this is happening, but it's the way to make the best of something, right?
It is. You have to take your time and apply it and use it wisely, and grow as a musician. Because if you're not doing anything else, it's the only thing you can do.
Right.
It comes from doing what you love. If you truly, honestly love what you do, it's not work.
Right.
You only move forward, and
Right.
Movement is life. So if you move forward, you're only growing. So that's how I always feel.
It's very true. It's very true. Again, when I started as a lawyer, I was speaking with an older statesman who was a lawyer, my old boss's 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 boss kind of thing. And he equated us with being like sharks. If you stop swimming, you can't breathe. And,
right.
And I was very offended by that line, because I thought, what about the people who just sort of are sort of quiet in their own little corner, and they just do what they do, and they do it until they retire. Then they have their retirement, and they live until they don't live anymore. And as I look back now, he was right, and my perception was as wrong could be. If you keep moving, you keep growing, you keep breathing and developing, things like that. So he was very much right. And I was a young kid who just thought he was a stupid old man, but I thought it was a little brash of him to say. And he was right.
I'm sure it was the way he was saying it too.
Yeah, maybe that criticism was accurate.
Yeah. Sometimes it's about the delivery.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you on that. I had a visceral reaction to the way he said it because the context was sort of, I'm better than the person I'm currently comparing myself to, who is important to you, Dave. You know,
right on.
I was referring to an earlier mentor of mine. So
Right.
That's why I had the visceral reaction.
Right. Sometimes
a self-aggrandizing statement.
Right. That's, some guys I know that I've worked under just think they know it all. And they just think it's like, oh, I've done this, I've done that, I've done the whole thing. I always go into a new job completely knowing nothing. And I say to myself, I don't know anything about this gig. Even on a tour, I say if I go back out on Steely Dan,
right.
I say to myself, like, I have no idea how this is going to play out. Because in truth, the artist, like Donald, won't know what he's going to do until he shows up to rehearsal.
Right.
So, I mean, it might be the same old songs as we always do, but if we're going to do it differently, something might be different. So, you have to kind of keep an open mind.
Yeah. That's true. And I like the fact that you're approaching it with both an open mind and humility. And then as you get deeper in, certainly your confidence in being good at what you do and your life experience will kick in. But if you start from that position of an open mind and an open heart and humility, you will then have an opportunity to grow in that new gig.
Right.
And if you didn't, you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, exactly. An artist told me once, you're only as good as the next guy that comes along.
Right, yeah.
So,
right, because there's always people nipping at your heels.
Oh, yeah. There's always, if you're on top, there's just one more reason for someone to try to knock you off.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I like working with people who just want to work together and just get through the day.
Yeah, and again, it makes your day-to-day experience, if you're going on a, 32-day tour, how much nicer is it if you all enjoy each other?
Right.
Than if you hate each other but do a great job. Which can happen, I suppose.
Could, yes, it could.
It
could. I have to say, this tour I did 2 years ago was, do you know Ry Cooder?
Name sounds familiar.
He's a singer-songwriter, very, very eclectic, very American folky singer.
Yeah, the name.
He
sounds familiar. Yeah.
He's a guitar supposedly god, and I have to say.
Wait. So let me cut you off. So based upon the fact that I host a show called Guitar Tales and I'm not familiar with him, but I will fess to it. No, I'm not familiar. The name sounds familiar. That's the most I will admit to. I just lost all my credibility with the people who might watch this, but that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. Ry is not that known as a guitar player, but I mean he is like the quintessential. If you ask a lot of the top guys, like Ry was the old, and the stuff he owns is pretty old.
Oh, right, yeah.
Antiquated stuff. He uses like 4 amps at the same time. It's really like, he really makes this wall of sound thing. But I digress. One of the guys, his tech, I have to say at one point in time, was like the worst guy to be around.
Right.
Like Mr. Know-It-All, and it was a rough time. But we all, that being said, we all got through it.
Yeah.
But the rest of us pulled together and we got through it, despite his
problems
or what have you. So
that's tough.
It is.
So you just made me think. So there's a whole we could do 2 hours on stuff. Like I love to talk about amps. You know, like you probably dealt with like temperamental Leslie cabinets.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't even imagine what it would be like to try to maintain those.
Oh yeah. It's hard. It's hard, especially on the road, because you're not really like you don't have the real resources on site to like if the motor blows
Oh
on a
my God.
Leslie,
Yeah.
it's like okay, I could I could put in the spare, but if that spare goes, I have nothing.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. So there's always moments like that. Uh, uh, I used to be the B3 keyboard tech on the Conan O'Brien show,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and they used to leave their Leslie running all night.
Oh, really? They had a Leslie on his
They had a
show?
under the bleachers back in
Wow.
the day, and I constantly tell them like, I'll take your money. I'll come in. You guys can pay me, but you guys would save a lot of money if you just turned off the Leslie at night.
I, I just can't get over the fact that a TV show would be using a Leslie.
Oh yeah, oh
That
yeah,
just seems like I would just think they would have some kind of sample this or that, you know, and just have like a generic kind of like solid statey kind of whatever.
I'm sure some of the newer bands nowadays do, but on like Saturday Night Live, there's a full on like
Well,
Leslie.
yeah, like
You know.
G.E. Smith is he's something else. Remember?
Oh yeah, totally. He's definitely.
He seemed. Did you ever work with him?
Oh yeah, I
He
was.
seemed like a
I was.
mountain of ego.
Oh.
Was he? This is me
Uh,
from afar, like just through a TV perceiving.
I can see where you're saying that, but I just think he's so wrapped up in his own thing. I
Okay.
don't necessarily think it's an ego thing. I just think he's just so like in his moment.
Yeah. I saw a clip of him with Eddie Van Halen, and I didn't sense enough sort of visual deference from him to Eddie. And I'm thinking, you know, and he's amazing. G.E. Smith is unbelievable. I used to
Yes.
love watching him, you know,
Oh,
on
yeah.
guitar in that show. But when he's jamming with Eddie, he's looking at Eddie like, all right, we're two peers. And I think they probably were peers. Like, you know, Eddie does a lot of really cool stuff, but
Right,
G.E. Smith is every bit as good, just not as famous.
right.
But, and maybe better in many regards. But there was something about the fact that not only was he not visually seemingly intimidated by the guy, they were just equally sharing the stage. And I thought, really? But he is that good, you know? But that was just my perception.
Yeah, I was a drum tech on Saturday Night Live for a couple of years during the GE years.
Yeah, he was, I'm sure, he's still around, right?
Actually, he's playing bass on Roger Waters.
Oh, really? Oh, that new tour that they're doing now.
Yeah, when it was out.
Oh, right. Now they're
He
not,
was,
right.
he was definitely he was the musical director / bass player
Oh, okay.
on that tour, which is ironic since he's been known for his guitar playing.
I know, but yeah, it's a lot of guitar players segue over, and I'm sure that's much to the chagrin of people who take bass extremely seriously.
Oh yeah,
Because it's, you know, a guitar player getting by on bass is so different than a bass player really playing bass. You know, I mean, when I had a band when I was in law school, and our bass player was 1,000 times the guitar player I was, so we had a deal. If there was ever anything difficult, I would slide over to bass,
right.
and he would we played One Way Out. I couldn't touch that lead. I don't even play lead. So I would do the bump, bump, bump. I would do that on bass.
Right.
And he would do the searing lead, you know, but I would do the bullshit version of bass.
Right on. Sure.
Player. So this has been so much fun. I just looked at the clock. I feel like it's been 2 minutes. And I would love someday. I would love to get you back on and talk about equipment. Can we do that sometime?
Yeah, no problem. Anytime you want.
I would we could have so much fun on that because I could do like a 40-minute show on Leslie cabinets, you know.
Or amps. I'm pretty diverse on the amps.
Oh, I bet you are. Like, well, one last thing before we go. I've been bastardizing the Mesa Boogie amp origin story. Do you know it? Mesa Boogie, how they created it? The whole thing where they like tricked someone and put like a big amp into a little Fender Princeton amp. Do you know that story?
Oh, I think it was based on the Mark IV, that Mesa Boogie Mark IV amp, that small little like 12-inch amp.
Yeah, like they tricked someone as like a good gag.
Right. Oh yeah.
I've been bastardizing the story on the show all the time. I know it's something like that where they put like a really big beefy amp into like a little Fender Backstage or a little Princeton amp or something, or Fender Champ or something, right? But
there was an interesting story. One last story. On one of the MTV Music Awards on Aerosmith.
Okay.
I was working for a backline company, and we lent a small little deluxe reverb.
Okay, like a twin reverb or just a regular?
No, I'm sorry, a deluxe, Blues Deluxe.
Okay.
Blues Deluxe. It's a it was like a 212.
Okay, so sort of like a twin reverb-ish kind of.
Yeah, sort of like a twin reverb-ish thing.
Right.
And we put it up there behind this stack behind Joe Perry's rig.
Okay.
Literally wall of boxes, cabinets. A
bunch of like
4x12 box cabinets.
Right.
Literally 8 of them. And a whole bunch of box heads, a Marshall head. And the one with his mic was the deluxe reverb in the back behind. That was fun. But in Radio City Music Hall, it sounded like it was the entire rig.
Oh, that's so funny. So to the perception, so the audience gets this perception he's doing
huge,
right? Big the classic Marshall stack, right?
But
and in reality, it's a little
yeah, exactly. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's really funny. Well, what do they say? What was the little Princeton? Or not it was the Fender, not the twin reed. What was the Fender Champ? Don't they say
Fender Champ? Oh yeah.
They say that was on more studio albums than almost any other amp, right?
There's an Avatar. There's a studio in these Power Station, which is Avatar, which is changed names. They have 3 like Princeton Champs, and those champs.
Champ amp was like the amp for studio music.
Those amps were all the while for a long time, and they have ended up on so many albums.
Yeah.
It's funny because I did a gig once with Elvis Costello.
Oh, I love Elvis. Yes.
It was for the hurricane that happened in New Orleans.
Okay.
And he ordered a deluxe reverb, a 65 old deluxe reverb. It was a big festival, so we didn't have one.
Right.
So
is a deluxe reverb different than the twin, or is it?
Oh yeah, it's totally different.
So what's the deluxe reverb?
Deluxe reverb is more of like a rocking amp.
So is it a single 12 or is it a double?
It's you can get it as a single or a double.
Okay.
This one that he wanted was a double. But there weren't any around because it was like a last minute show.
Okay.
So I borrowed this Champ, and I brought it in and I says, well, this is all I got. It's like, all right, well, let's try it. And he played a Les Paul through it.
Oh, really?
A gold top through it. Plugged it in. And I says, for the show, I'll get you the deluxe reverb. Okay.
Right.
And he says, okay, no problem. And then he played it. And then after the rehearsal, he says, you know what? We're just going to stick with this sound. And I just love this little amp. Let's just take it with us. Of course, I couldn't tell anybody that I was taking it.
Right.
It ended up on the show. So the last show at Madison Square Garden, going to this little Princeton Champ.
Now, is the Champ? That's a 2. You probably got a 2.
Oh yeah, right? It was a 2 amp. Oh yeah, it was one of the original ones.
Oh, so this is like a 60 something.
Oh yeah, this was like a 62.
Wow.
Oh yeah, the tweed was coming off. The side was all ripped up. It was was brutal, but
But I'm sure the
sounded
speaker was newer, right? You can't have the original speaker in that, right?
This was replaced. It was one
Yeah.
of Celeste John's speakers, but the original guts of it was still.
That's cool. And they're gonna have, and the reverb is the spring tank. It's the
Yes,
sound.
that's right. Yes, it did.
So you hit it, and you
Yeah.
go. Pop, 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 pop.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You definitely. I wouldn't let anybody walk next to it because you would hear it as you.
Oh, it's horrible, that noise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
We gotta come back and do a tech show, a pure tech show. Well, this is so much fun. I want to thank you for joining us on Guitar Tales. We've had a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me, David.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Well, listen, everyone, take care. I want you to have a good night. Everyone be safe, and we will be back very soon with more Guitar Tale shows. Have a good night. All right, so let's see, we're still recording. This is what I did last time. It was like a fake outtake. It was an unintended outtake.
Nice.
So we're still recording here. I screwed it up again. This is what happens when I run the board. All right, so I'm going to hang up on you.
Okay,
right?
cool. Thanks,
right.
Dave. Thanks
Thank
again.
you. Have a good night. All right,
You
bye-bye.
too. Bye.
Bye-bye.